Hey guys, how you going? Hope you're all doing very well. This evening I have yet another movie review for you all, so hopefully you find this one interesting. This movie is a dark comedy from Russia, Russian language English subs, released in the year 2018, directed by Kirill Sokolov, and this film is called Why Don't You Just Die? So Why Don't You Just Die is set in Moscow. You've got a main character named Matvey. Matvey has a new girlfriend that he's deeply in love with, and he'll do anything for her, even if it means murdering someone. And that someone happens to be his girlfriend's father. The girlfriend says that when she was very young, the father molested her, and he was never brought to justice because he's a very influential figure in the Russian police force. So Matvey, being blinded by love, says, okay, I will kill your father so that you can break free of this torment and live a great life with me. So he gets to the apartment, he knocks on the door, he has a hammer in his hand that he's planning on using, but when he gets inside the apartment, he realises that this girlfriend's father is not going to go down without a fight. He's still very strong and he's still very capable of inflicting pain himself, and so Matvey is in a battle for his life. And then along the way, some hidden truths come out that really complicate the issues, and therefore Matvey has to really reevaluate everything because nothing is quite as it seems. And so what happens at that point on? There's something you're going to have to find out for yourself, because that's as far as I'm going with my synopsis. Now my thoughts on Why Don't You Just Die? I thought this movie was absolutely superb. It's one of the most entertaining movies that you will see, and this came as a massive shock to me because this is a film that really went under my radar, and this is the case with a lot of Russian movies. I don't know what it is about the Russian film industry. I don't know whether or not the Western world just doesn't like Russia, so they're just trying to push Russian films aside. But when the Russian movies that I have come across, it has little marketing, but when I watch them, I'm just completely blown away by how good they are. You've got films by Andrei Zhigniev, who is one of my favourite directors. He creates movies that are very political, and it's a political commentary on the Russian system, and it's very ballsy filmmaking, but no one really talks about this guy because of the fact his films definitely get unnoticed outside of the film festival circuit world. You've also got a movie by Alexei Balabanov called Cargo 200 that I reviewed not long ago, and that was absolutely fantastic, and once that's considered a classic, but once again I really hadn't heard of it. And so coming into Why Don't You Just Die, I thought to myself when I looked at the trailer, this is definitely a movie that is for me. It's definitely a movie that took my interest, but although I'm disappointed and surprised that I hadn't seen this movie earlier, I can't say I'm totally surprised, because of the fact Russian cinema is definitely a mystery as far as the outside world is concerned, and that's something that you could basically say about the whole country. It's an absolutely beautiful country, but there's a certain mysterious quality to Russia that makes it a very, very unique place, and the Russian film industry is definitely no different. So when I saw the trailer, I thought this looks like a Terry Gilliam film. It looks like a Jean-Pierre Jeunet film. You know, these superb surrealist directors that create movies that have a very unique style, and that unique style is caricature. Cartoons come to life, splashed from the screen in a very vibrant way. So that is the reason why I was enticed to see the film, and I will say that that's what makes Why Don't You Just Die such a superb dark comedy, because it realises everything it is to make a dark comedy, is that when you show violence for the horrifying way that it's shown in this movie, it's done in a way of caricature. And so cartoon violence alleviates all the disturbing qualities that you have in violence, and so you can't help but laugh at it. And that's the whole purpose of a dark comedy, laughing at things you shouldn't laugh at, laughing at things that you feel guilty at. And so basically making light of people's injuries in this movie is something that you would normally feel really bad about, but because it's a cartoon world, it's almost like a different dimension. It's a surrealist kind of film. You can't help but laugh at it. You can't help but go along with these characters as they're doing horrible things to each other. This is a movie that is a dysfunctional family pushed to the absolute extreme, and it needed to be pushed to the absolute extreme, because then you'll be feeling as though you're really depressed, you're really disturbed, you're really horrified, and that's not what the movie wants to do. And so the movie has that self-awareness at alleviating all the disturbing qualities through the world of caricature, and that's something that Terry Gilliam and Jean-Pierre Jeunet do so well, and that's exactly what Kirill Sokolov does so well in Why Don't You Just Die. The vibrant colouring I thought was surreal. It was very, very off-putting at the same time. You have very strong colours. You know, the violence is very much over the top. The choreography of the fight scenes I thought was incredibly impressive. But what I really liked about the film was the script. The script was hilarious. The script it's said to have a very strong sense of Russian humour, but for me, I really enjoyed it. I thought the humour translated very well, is because these characters are painted in a way, once again, of a caricature nature. These are characters that almost felt like it's a cartoon come to life, and so they're very vibrant, they're very larger than life, and they all have their own characteristics, especially the father of this family. I thought, alright, well, he was actually quite intimidating. And when Matt V is up against him, I thought as though it was a battle of wits, and not only a battle of wits, but a very brutal battle, as this house is about to be transformed into something that is completely horrifying, but at the same time, the caricature nature alleviates it to a point where you can't help but just bask in the glory of violence. This is a film that glorifies violence, and that's something I don't really like as far as movies are concerned. I believe that the best violent movies showing you violence for what it is, ugly. But in this case, because it's a dark comedy, the fact that you're laughing at it is it's over stylized. It's almost like a Quentin Tarantino experience in violence, in that there's a lot of blood that just spurts out of someone when they're punched. There's slow motion gunshots. It was very, very brutal. But as I said, because it's so over the top, you can't help but feel as though you're disconnecting yourself from real violence and you're taking part in comic book sort of violence. And so that was great. I thought the characters, the way that the characters interact with each other was great. I thought the chemistry between Matt Vett and his girlfriend was there, and the way the movie tells its story I thought was very, very impressive. This could have been easy to do as a hyper-violent movie and a funny movie, but just with a very simplistic story, and that would have been an easier avenue for Kirill Sokolov, but he demonstrates a very capable presence in storytelling. I thought the way the story is told through flashbacks, so you kind of piece together why Matt V is in the position that he's in, but the flashbacks don't take a lot of time, so that they don't derail the fluency of the movie. So the continuity I thought was absolutely fantastic, and I just enjoyed every minute of this movie. I thought the runtime was perfect, the characters were larger than life, it's a very, very funny script, and it's a very, very brutal film, and what these characters go through you will feel, but at the same time you laugh at, because the script just evolves the story into something that is just incredibly entertaining. It is glorifying violence in a very unapologetic way, so if you are offended by violence, don't watch this movie, but if you love dark comedies, then Why Don't You Just Die is definitely one to check out. The title is insane, Why Don't You Just Die, and it just basically, the experience matches the title in a way where everything is consistently done to a point where I absolutely love this film, and it's one I'd highly recommend. It's definitely not a movie that's going to win any Oscars, but it doesn't try to, therefore it comes across as a very self-aware, fun, dark comedy that will have you shocked at the violence, but at the same time laughing your head off at the situation that's transpiring. So overall, for Why Don't You Just Die, going to give this one 4.5 stars. I loved it. Go out there and see it. Alright guys, that's it for my review. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching movies, and I'll see you later.